When one man dares to speak against this angel, she literally blows his head off. This angel-like creature is evil as hell. She appears out of nowhere and drags people into an unfair game world, where they're forced to fight monsters over and over again. She enjoys watching lowly humans die, smiling as they fall one after another. But there's one guy who stands out. Ryu Min easily deals with the monsters and takes first place among all the humans. Then he does something so bold it shocks everyone, even the angel herself. He demands a better reward for finishing first. That pisses her off, so she comes up with a plan to get rid of him. She's already used her power to kill a player once, and can't do it again without breaking the rules. So instead, she suggests they talk privately. They head into a nearby forest. As they walk, she can't stop thinking about how much she hates greedy, stupid humans. But she still can't just kill him outright. It's against the rules, and the higher-ups would punish her. So she lures him deeper into the forest, far from any witnesses, planning to later claim he tried to leave the map and was punished for it. Once they reach the right spot, she turns around, and the only thing she sees is a fist. She crashes to the ground, staring at her own blood, unable to believe a human dared to hit her. When she looks up again, he's gone. Then Ryu Min appears right behind her, grabbing her by the wing and the throat. He rips her wings apart one by one, completely ignoring her screams. Now that she can't escape, he pulls a dagger from his inventory and kills her with a single clean strike. As her body hits the ground, a system message appears. Ryu Min has become the first player ever to kill an angel. As a reward, he gains the title First Angel Slayer, which doubles all his stats when fighting divine creatures. He also obtains Angel's Blood, allowing him to unlock the Grim Reaper class. And finally, he receives the Rune of Slaughter, which increases all his stats by 1% for every enemy he kills until the end of the round. You might wonder why Ryu Min is so strong and bold, enough to kill an angel right from the start. The truth is, this is his 100th regression. He already knows everything, and this is how it all began. On his 99th regression, he solo killed the guardians of the final boss, but still couldn't enter the door leading to it. The reason was simple. The system required a minimum of 5 players to enter. Because he was alone, the system wiped him out. And now, here he goes again, right at the moment before the game starts. This time, it's his 100th and final regression. Right when crowd starts cheering and shouting to celebrate the new year, an unfamiliar sound breaks through the noise. The voice mocks humans in a twistedly amused tone, calling them laughable for being so full of themselves despite having no clue about what's about to happen. Everyone freezes in confusion, and one by one they rush toward the direction of the sound, only to see a radiant woman slowly descending from the sky with an angelic glow. She looks down at them like they're nothing, casually comparing humans to pathetic monkeys trapped inside a cage. The humans watch in awe, completely drawn in by the surreal sight unfolding in front of them. Many convinced it's just a high-tech hologram, while a few can't help admiring the angelic lady's stunning beauty. Even Min gazes at her, though for him it's far from fascinating since he's been through this exact moment repeatedly for the past 99 years, and frankly, he finds it more insulting than impressive by now. The angel lady smirks with that same condescending look and mocks the humans for falling in love with her so easily. One guy, clearly irritated by what he thinks is just some elaborate prank, points at her and demands to know who she is, asking if this is some ridiculous cosplay skit or a street drama with flying props. The moment he casually refers to her as a floating tissue paper, Min instantly knows this man has just sealed his fate. Right then, her eyes glow a deep, furious crimson, and in one swift motion she slices off the man's head in a fit of madness. His blood splashes across the crowd, leaving everyone frozen in terror and soaked in fear. The once graceful lady now stands as a merciless figure, declaring this as rightful punishment for a lowly human who dared speak against someone above his kind. With a sharp voice and a chilling gaze, she warns the rest that if anyone else chooses to question her, they too will meet the same end without mercy. Once silence settles, she tells everyone to listen closely as she begins explaining the situation they are in. Min feels nothing but irritation listening to the same speech once again, and compares it to those boring school announcements from the principal that seem to drag on forever. She tells them they're going to play a game, a total of 20 rounds, one taking place each month. Then she explains that their souls will be transported to another dimension for this. All they need to do in that dimension is complete a quest assigned to them. She adds that once they finish their quests, they'll return to reality, rewarded for their efforts. Everyone is left confused by the vague and incomplete explanation, wondering if completing the quest might actually guarantee their survival. Just as they begin thinking too much about the idea of survival, the angelic lady speaks up, clarifying that while it might sound like they could survive by completing the quest, it doesn't actually guarantee their lives. She spills the truth that only half of them would make it out alive, depending on their ranks and accomplishments. As panic begins spreading through the crowd, she calmly adds that only humans aged between 15 and 29 will be taken, leaving everyone else behind. An old geezer bursts into laughter, shouting that he's made it through alive, which instantly ticks off one of Yongmin's underlings, who grabs him by the collar and starts picking a fight. Yongmin quickly steps in and shuts his man up, telling him he should try wrapping his head around the situation unless he wants it to literally blow up. Right after that, the angel woman announces that over 18 million people are going to participate in this game and immediately begins the teleportation process. Everyone gets sent to a place where they can't see one another and are asked to create their avatar before the soul transfer begins. She warns them to be extra careful with what they choose, since there won't be a second chance to do it again. Min picks the same avatar he's been choosing for the past 99 lives and names it Black Scythe once again. After confirming his choice, he finds himself standing in a grassy area. He's kept this exact body for as long as he can remember, and at this point, it feels more like his real one than anything else ever has. Right then, the rest of the participants get teleported in as well. None of them seem particularly scared, and one guy even tries acting like some hotshot, asking his friend if he looks like him. Min already knows what's going on. They've all tried to make themselves look as handsome or as cute as possible. But if anyone had half a brain, they wouldn't have done that because flashy appearances are just going to make them easier targets, and once they're dead, they're gone for good. Just as Min starts wondering where the bully is, Young Min shows up flaunting a shiny, overly muscular body. The guy has once again gone all in, creating the most jacked build he possibly could. While everyone's still enjoying the novelty of their new bodies and the brief shift in mood, the angelic woman appears out of nowhere, commenting that everyone seems to be having a good time with their avatars. Her presence alone immediately kills the mood, tension flooding back into the air as panic sets in over what might come next. One of the humans speaks up, pointing out that the group doesn't exactly look like a million people, which makes the angelic lady frown as she sternly explains that this isn't the only location, and that others are gathered in different groups with other angels. Before the first round kicks off, the big mad angelic lady gives them a quick rundown and tells them to picture a status window in their minds. Min brings up his own status panel and instantly feels annoyed, knowing he'll have to grind through all those levels from scratch again. Once everyone gets a look at their status window, the lady points out that they're basically noobs at the moment, which any gamer with basic experience could have guessed already. She tells them to start getting stronger and adds that if they somehow manage to clear all 20 levels, they won't just survive, but will also be granted a free wish. Then she instructs them to think of an inventory since she's left a little gift in there for each of them. Everyone checks and finds a single rune piece waiting inside. The big, bad, mad angelic lady explains that this random rune piece is a one-time use item and can only be activated while they're still at level 1. She tells them that it's a unique item given only at this moment and explains how they're supposed to use it. Young Min wastes no time and activates his right away, looking genuinely amazed by the result. The big bad mad angelic lady casually remarks that everyone will be satisfied with whatever they receive, and once the runes are fully engraved, she finally reveals their quests. Right then, a quest window pops up in front of each person, instructing them to eliminate 100 goblins each. The goblins begin appearing all around, forcing the humans to stay on high alert. It suddenly starts to feel like someone managed to commercialize virtual reality, and they've all been snatched as test subjects for a new game. The big bad mad lady then unleashes a wave of 10,000 goblins against a group of 5,000 defenseless and completely inexperienced humans, ordering them to fight with the clear intent to kill. Min calmly steps forward and begins walking toward the monsters, drawing everyone's attention, and in a flash he crushes a goblin like it's nothing, making the whole thing look way too easy. Min knows that first impressions stick around almost forever, and for some reason, he wants everyone to remember exactly who he is. The reason is simple in his head. He just wants to keep all the annoying pests far away from him, and to do that, he needs to make it very clear how strong he is. On top of that, he also wants to catch the attention of the angelic lady. To hit all these goals at once, he puts on a performance so overwhelming that everyone watching starts wondering if he's some kind of elite soldier straight out of a secret military program. And to top it off, they even find his nickname, the Black Scythe, seriously cool. Watching Min go at it like a total pro fires up everyone around him, and they decide to give it a shot too, thinking that goblins should be the weakest monsters around anyway. Just when they start getting cocky, a goblin suddenly pounces out of nowhere and drives its dagger straight through a human, making it clear that this is no harmless tutorial fight. The moment that happens, panic explodes, and instead of helping, everyone just turns tail and runs for their lives. The goblins quickly swarm the crowd and start slashing through people, turning things into a chaotic mess. Min knows exactly what's going through their minds. Most of them probably thought this was just some kind of game, but he's sure their survival instincts will take over any second now, and when that happens, all they'll do is run, leaving everyone else behind without a second thought. Min had done the same once, and it took him 2 whole lives to finally understand that there was no point in running away from the monsters here. A girl who tries to make a run for it crashes straight into some kind of invisible barrier, making it painfully clear to everyone that they don't actually have any other choice. They have to fight. For modern humans who've never even had to kill an insect, being forced to slay goblins just to survive pushes them into a corner, and now the only way they'll make it through is by completely changing who they are. One after another, people start dropping, and those barely hanging on cry out for someone to save them. Meanwhile, The big bad angelic lady seems to be enjoying the massacre, fully aware that while goblins may be weak individually, they become terrifying when they attack in swarms and start using weapons. What's more, she finally starts to show a bit of interest in our boy, just as he had hoped. The lady finds it rather frustrating that she can't peek into the player's information beyond their quest progress, feeling it's beneath her, especially for someone of her caliber. Still, she finds watching Black Scythe quite entertaining. Min continues to cut through the goblins with ease, making it seem like a child's play. Only a quarter of his target remains, so he accelerates the pace, slaying them mercilessly until the remaining goblins start retreating, fleeing for their lives. This gives him a moment to breathe, and in that brief pause, he opens his status menu, discovering that he has reached level 4. Every time someone levels up, they gain 2 stat points, and Min allocates all his points to his speed. He knows that in this heavenly game, the speed stat increases both attack speed and movement speed, and from his past experiences, he's learned that there's no stat more important than speed at the beginning of the game. After putting on a show to grab the angel's attention, Min decides it's time to quickly finish things up. He hurls his blade like Mowgli's whip, and it returns, taking out a few of the monsters. The remaining goblins, realizing they stand no chance, stop in their tracks. Min approaches them and finishes the job, making sure they all kick the bucket, finally completing his quest. Just as he breezes through the first round with ease, Min takes a moment to reflect on his actions. He realizes that the reason he went all out on the goblins wasn't just to grab the angelic woman's attention, but also to be the first person on both the player and world map to complete the quest. A golden quest window pops up in front of him, revealing that he completed the quest in a total of 10 minutes and 21 seconds, making him the first. Min knows that the first 3 winners receive special rewards, and by placing first, he earns a base-tier rare weapon ticket along with a unique reward box for being number 1 on the world map. Min opens up the rewards from his first-place finish on the player map and is met with a variety of weapons. Out of the options, Min selects the stiletto, a beginner-level dagger, tossing aside the useless one he had used to finish the round. He decides to save the world map reward for later and checks his status menu, noticing that everyone around him is still struggling to deal with the pitiful goblins. Min then looks at the title he earned, the Last Time Traveler, one he's never received in his past 99 lives. Curious, he uses the rune he acquired and receives the Rune of Time Reversal. Just as it begins to engrave itself onto his body, the system notifies him that there are remnants of the rune's effect on him, causing the engraving to fail. This is not surprising to Min. If the rune had successfully engraved, it could have created an endless time reversal glitch, which would have been far too powerful. The system further informs Min that due to his 100 regressions, he has unlocked a new title. Min understands that titles are an upgraded form of runes in the game. Looking at the details of his new title, he discovers that it grants him the ability to fully revive once after death. Min recalls that the revival skill is usually reserved for priests, and even they can only revive someone with 30% health. His title, however, is far more powerful, offering a full recovery. Min is amazed by the power of his title and quickly uses the system's hide feature to keep it a secret. Once he's done checking everything, he wonders if anyone else has finished the quest, and how young Min, the bully, is faring. He spots young Min fighting alongside his friends and knows he will survive the round as well. As the number of humans approaches that of the goblins, the angel, growing bored, decides to summon more goblins to continue the chaos. Meanwhile, the bodies of the fallen humans start to vanish, leaving their loved ones crying in despair. The massive wave of 50,000 goblins overwhelms the humans, who struggle to defeat them. The target count for those who need to qualify gets closer and closer to the mark, until it finally surpasses 5,000, causing the goblins to disappear. Those who haven't qualified are bid farewell as they vanish into thin air, leaving no trace behind. One guy keeps shouting to the big bad angel lady that he only needs to kill one more, but the rules of the game remain unchanged. Only half of the people in each round are meant to qualify. The survivors, who manage to make it through to the next round, are struck with terror at the sight of their fallen comrades disappearing. The big bad angel lady tells them they should be grateful for their survival and urges them to try harder if they want to make it through the second round. Before she lets them go, the system displays their rewards and the leaderboard. Everyone gets 1,000 gold coins, which they can use to purchase items from the store once it unlocks at level 10. Thanks to the leaderboard, everyone now knows about our boy, just as he planned. His first place ranking catches the angel's attention, and she asks him how he's gotten so strong, wondering if he received some kind of broken rune. Our Black Scythe mocks her, asking if she can't see which rune he got. The lady immediately changes her tune, claiming that she knows everything, trying to maintain her reputation. Min then asks the angel if he can ask her a question too, insisting that the reward he received for being first is too little for his stomach. This infuriates the angelic lady when she's asked for a better reward. She demands that Min repeat what he just said, and without a second thought he does, only making her angrier. The lady scowls in rage, wondering how a lowly human could be dissatisfied after taking down a bunch of goblins. In her fury, she thinks about blowing Min's head off, but then remembers she's already used that trump card and that the right to kill was only a one-time thing. She regrets wasting it on another human, but just then, a new idea hits her. She asks Min if he really needs a better reward. The angel explains that normally the rules would prevent her from doing something like that, but she might consider making an exception. She tells the other humans to wait, as she needs to speak with Min in private. A chaos erupts among the crowd as they wonder if bargaining is the norm in this game, and others start thinking about asking for better rewards from her as well. They all grow suspicious about how good of a reward it could be, considering she's taking Min away, and some even feel jealous of his luck. Min then follows the lady deep into the jungle, keeping a cautious distance. She notices and tells him to keep up with her. Enraged, she thinks of humans as nothing more than pests who only obey once they're shouted at, but she lets the anger go. She knows she can't interfere with the game system, which was designed by the higher beings. A smirk spreads across her face as she realizes she has something devious in mind. Once they pass a certain point, she plans to slay our boy. She knows that slaying a human for personal reasons could cause some serious problems. After all, she doesn't have the authority to do so, and she might be punished for disrupting the game. To avoid any consequences, all she needs to do is make sure there are no witnesses. When she finally arrives at a safe spot, she turns around, only to be met with an unexpected surprise. A fist comes crashing through her face, completely catching her off guard. The punch sends the angel crashing to the ground, and a strange golden liquid begins to bleed from her, making her more furious than ever. Furious and determined to crush our boy, she tries to approach him, but to her shock, he vanishes without a trace. Min quietly sneaks up behind her, catching her completely off guard. With one hand gripping her wings, he uses the other to choke her, holding her in place. She screams at him to stop, but Min doesn't budge. One by one, he rips off her wings, showing her that escape is no longer an option. As he finishes tearing them apart, he taunts her, asking if it hurts. The angel, clearly confused and enraged, asks him if he's lost his mind. Min, with a smirk, calmly explains that he knew she had a dagger hidden in her wings and was planning to kill him with it. The lady still refuses completely, arguing that none of this was ever her intention, but Min calmly calls her by the name Brielle and tells her that lying to him won't get her anywhere. Brielle instantly panics, wondering how a mere human could possibly know who she is. Right then, Min pulls out her weapon and scares the living daylights out of her. Desperate to survive, Brielle tries bluffing her way out by threatening to use that head-exploding power of hers with just a flick of her finger, but Min shuts it down immediately, saying she's already used her killing move. This sends Brielle into full-blown panic, and she starts scrambling for excuses, trying to strike some kind of deal. She attempts one last threat, claiming her friends won't let him walk away alive, but Min sees right through it. He tells her plain and clear that no one's coming to help because all her so-called angel friends are just self-absorbed narcissists who wouldn't lift a finger even if she dropped dead right there. She argues that making her kick the bucket wouldn't do them any good, and says they'd just end up without an angel, which would make it impossible for them to return home. Hearing this, Min tells her that the system automatically sends the players back once the rewards are announced, and doesn't need her approval for that to happen. She keeps trying to bargain and come up with some pretty lame excuses, saying she'll give him any information he wants while begging for just one more chance to see another day. But Min doesn't look convinced at all, and tells her he already knows everything about the game, explaining that angels like her are nothing more than chess pieces placed to guide the players and serve no other purpose. Min shows her no mercy and drives his blade straight through her, taking her down for good. After he finishes off the angel, the system notifies him that he's officially the first person to ever eliminate an angel, and rewards him with the title of the first angel slayer. On top of that, our boy receives the angel blood along with the rune of slaughter. Turns out, this isn't his first time pulling something like this off, and just like before, he's once again the very first to take down an angel. The rune gets engraved directly into his body, and his newly earned title now doubles his stats whenever he's up against an enemy from the Holy Order. Back in his previous regressions, he only found out about these rewards during the 13th round while battling the angels, and since they're meant for just one person, the system designed them to be as unique as possible. Besides the double stat buff from the title, he also gains the rune's bonus, which increases his stats by 1% every time he kills an enemy, stacking up to 100%. However, this effect completely resets once the next round begins. Min smirks while holding a golden item, the angel's blood, which turns out to be the sole reason he went after the angel in the first place, since this item lets a player choose Grim Reaper as their profession. Professions are something every player gets access to once they hit level 10 and above, with 30 different kinds available overall, and there are several ways for someone to unlock one. One way to gain a profession is by obtaining a specific item, either through a hunt or by meeting certain requirements, but some professions fall under the unique class category, meaning they belong to just a single person, and as expected, these professions are in a completely different league compared to the rest. Min then checks the reward he got from the world map and decides to go with the experience boost for the next round, knowing that the most important thing right now is to reach level 10 so he can finally enter a profession. He's fully aware that this is his last regression, which means he has to become the strongest version of himself by making use of everything he can possibly get his hands on. Right then, the round comes to an end and every living soul gets returned to their original dimension. People slowly start waking up on Earth as their souls return, confused and wondering what just happened. For most of them, it all feels like a strange dream, and when they look around, they notice that their bodies had collapsed the moment they were pulled into that other dimension. They check the time and realize that the amount of time that passed in their dream matches exactly with the real world, which only makes things more unsettling. Their heads feel heavy and their limbs ache with soreness. Young Min and his friends glance around, noticing that some people are still lying motionless, not yet waking up from whatever dream they were trapped in. The humans begin talking among themselves, slowly confirming that it wasn't just a dream after all, and that they'll definitely be pulled back in when the next round begins. They rush to wake up their friends who are still passed out, but the moment they check on them, they realize the bodies are ice cold and not even breathing, confirming that these people have actually kicked the bucket. It's right then that the brutal truth hits everyone. This whole half the people will survive thing wasn't some twisted joke, and those who didn't make it really are gone for good. Panic spreads like wildfire, and even the bully Young Min starts trembling, shaken to his core. The sick piece of trash genuinely feels glad that, rich or poor, everyone now stands on an even playing field in this new world, so he casually tells the guy having a panic attack to chill out and just live a little. He adds that the world has always been unfair anyway, and brings the freaked out kid back to reality with his casual vibe check. Baldy tells Young Min that while his life might not be worth much, he still has goals he wants to chase. But the crazy guy ignores him and looks for someone he cannot seem to find. He wonders where Min disappeared to after getting knocked out and quietly chuckles to himself, thinking a weak little wimp like him probably croaked in a ditch somewhere without anyone noticing. Just then, his attention is stolen by a guy decked out in armor who is just minding his own business and staring into the air. The crackhead quickly realizes he can also access the system to check his own stats, and seeing his goons also shocked when they confirm it for themselves. It takes the gang a second to fully process that they can also open their own status screens and even view the items they get in real life, though no player can ever peek at someone else's. Young Min decides to test it out by casually picking up a rock and crushing it effortlessly with one hand. Watching it crumble into powder from his sheer crushing power, the snake-eyed guy grins like a complete idiot at his newfound strength. The next day, news about the event spreads like wildfire, and it quickly becomes common knowledge that an entire crowd of citizens had fallen unconscious after a mysterious lady descended from the sky like a UFO, with rumors flying around that she has the power to pop heads like balloons or send people straight into a coma. Watching the experts scramble to interpret the situation on his phone, Min figures that full-on chaos will break loose once they find out that half the unconscious players are going to pass away from heart attacks soon, including a few famous celebrities. But he knows the real game begins when the police discover that the survivors have turned into players with special powers. Though their low stats will not be much of a problem in the beginning, at the later stages they will become way too powerful for even the military to handle properly. That is where Min plans to come in and shut them down before they get too drunk on their powers and end up destroying Earth long before the final round even begins. He has already decided that he will achieve it by dominating with his own overwhelming strength. However, this time he knows he will have to play it smart and rally the top 4 players to his side if he wants to survive the final round, though there is something much more important he needs to take care of first. Back at his apartment, Min goes into the kitchen and feels bad that his little brother ate a single cup of ramen for dinner like always. Min quietly opens the door and peeks inside, careful not to wake the little guy up, and he feels relieved that Juan can finally sleep peacefully even without his big brother around. After all, despite his towering height, the walking beanpole is still just a 7th grader living alone with his brother, ever since their parents passed away in a car crash. Pressing down on the bandage wrapped around Juan's bruised hand, a wave of regret and pain crashes over Min's heart. Without wasting a second, he flips the lights on and tells his little brother they are leaving right now. One groggily asks why he's making him get up so early, but our big brother rips the blanket off and orders him to get his lazy butt up and get changed, because they have something important to take care of that he will explain on the way out. Little bro grumbles that if it is just another one of Min's random morning walks, he is definitely not interested. But Min suddenly drops his voice into a serious tone and lets him know that some serious stuff is about to go down. So now is not the time to be sleeping in. His little brother frowns and asks if something happened during the New Year's celebration Min went to, and our guy says he will explain everything once they are moving. As the brothers head down a quiet alley, one wonders what could be making his big brother act so tense and serious out of nowhere. That is when our protagonist tells him to check the news since a whole lot happened while he was snoring away. and Juan's jaw drops when he sees the Looney Tunes-style headlines about some angel that kidnapped a bunch of young people into another world, with Min finally revealing that he was one of those poor souls and barely made it back alive after clearing the first mission. His little brother instantly starts panicking and demands to know if he is really alright, especially because after their parents crash, Min is the only family Juan has left in this world. He remembers how completely broken he felt back then, but somehow his big brother always stood strong and made it feel like their parents were still with them even now. However, there is a limit to how much anyone can take, and even his brother might not be able to handle something as traumatic as suddenly being forced to hunt 100 monsters. Already knowing exactly what his little brother is thinking, Min calmly reassures him that the stat system makes players stronger, so even a guy built like a stick of spaghetti like him is going to be fine. Seeing that Juan is still not buying it, Min tells him all those worries will disappear when he watches him fight, and that he just needs to follow along and trust him for now. But little bro crosses his arms and stands firm, refusing to move an inch until Min spills whatever it is that he has been keeping from him the whole time. Glancing at the nasty bruise on Juan's hand, Min's face hardens again as he finally speaks up and name drops the jerk who has been bullying Juan all this time, causing the poor kid to immediately start sweating bullets. Hearing his bully's name come from Min, Juan feels completely shocked that he already knows about his situation. He turns to his brother and asks if he really knew everything from the beginning. The guilt hits him like a truck because he tries so hard to keep it hidden, not wanting to dump more problems onto Min when he already has enough to deal with. But deep down, Min feels the need to apologize to his little brother since he never truly noticed the pain Juan had been carrying all this time. Back in his first life, Min ended up finding out in the worst way possible. He was lying down for a nap when Juan casually mentioned that he was stepping out for a walk. Sometime later, Min picked up a call in a grumpy mood, not expecting anything serious. But the woman on the other end gave him a brutally cruel wake-up call when she told him she needed him to come to the hospital. It turns out that Juan got beaten so badly by his bully that night that he ended up losing his vision completely. Min felt like a pathetic weakling in that moment, and the weight of his own helplessness slammed into him like a truck. That's exactly why in this life, he wants to make sure his little brother never has to go through something like that ever again. At the same time, in a rundown alley, Taegyu slams a nerd into the wall with a hard kick and reminds him that he was supposed to show up with 20,000 won. He starts yelling as the nerd just lies there like a lifeless NPC. The fat pig keeps kicking him over and over again, and even his own grunts start looking surprised at how much punishment he's dishing out. As the guys stand there frozen by his ruthless attitude, Fatty starts whining that there's no way he's getting a bike big enough to fit his massive dump truck without the nerd's money. He turns to one of his lackeys and asks who else they can squeeze cash from. They start thinking it over until Forehead Guy pipes up and tells him to call the tall toothpick with the curly hair. Just the thought of Juan's punchable face makes Taegyu grin, and he casually shares that his plan for ringing in the new year was to start it off by beating that kid down. While his grunts throw out the genius idea of getting money from Juan, Fatty quickly reminds them that the kid is basically a homeless bum, and that every single time he beat him up, the shack dweller never had even a penny to his name. The moment Fatty brings up that Juan lives with his brother, his eyes immediately lock onto a pair of visitors, and to his delight, it's none other than his favorite punching bag along with our big brother. That sight alone makes the basketball-shaped menace and his lackeys grin wide, and he jokes that usually the devil shows up when someone says his name, but he got a gift instead. Right after that, Grease Lord goes full psycho and curses at Juan, which makes him scared and begins shaking as he quickly apologizes. But Min doesn't flinch and shoots Fatty a cold stare that says his days are officially numbered. Taegyu just smirks, thinking all Juan did was hand-deliver him a brand new punching bag, and then asks who exactly he dragged along to come save his sorry self. Before Juan can even respond, the big bad brother steps up and introduces himself, which makes Fatty grin wide as he tells Juan that he really messed up this time, and now his brother's about to get stitches for his snitch. But then Lardman pauses for a second and decides to send his boys in first to see just how good this guy really is. The first dude almost loses his soul laughing when he sees how short our hero is, but our boy answers that with a solid punch straight to his ugly mug, dropping him to the ground with a loud, satisfying thud. That move stuns budget Justin Bieber so badly that he instantly throws his fist with everything he's got, tearing through the air at full speed, but our protagonist smoothly dodges with a clean sidestep. He hits the guy so hard that the poor dude flies into a distant pile of boxes, crying out for his mom like a baby. At the same time, Baldy and Taegyu's last goon drop to the ground, curled up and shaking in pain from just a single hit each. Watching all this go down, the fat boy starts trembling and barely holds it together as he tries to cope that one's brother must have just picked up a bit of boxing somewhere. Trying to act unfazed, Fatty scoffs that there is no chance a guy built like a noodle can throw punches strong enough to actually hurt him, so he approaches him with full confidence, walking like a JoJo villain while towering over our hero. He smugly points out that those amateur boxing lessons probably forgot to mention how brutal a height difference can be in a fight. But Min just laughs at the oversized cutting board and asks if this guy even watches the news. Seeing Min smile to himself in that situation ticks Fatty off, and he throws his fist, ready to teach him a painful lesson. But our boy easily dodges the jab and makes the oversized bulldog stumble around trying to land a single hit, turning every dodge into a stylish move. Fatty's heart starts pounding like crazy, and he nearly gives himself a heart attack from moving around too much as he wonders why none of his hits land. Fed up with Big Smoke's tantrum, Min ends the show by knocking Taegyu out cold with one brutally satisfying punch, then tells him straight that he wouldn't have dared to step up if he actually watched the news. As the big guy struggles to stay conscious, he charges right back at Min, only to get his butt handed to him a second time. This time Min pulls a smooth move and vanishes like Naruto, appearing right behind the fat boy to land a clean jab straight into his oversized double chin. Clutching his mouth from the raw sting, the big guy starts cursing at our hero until he nearly loses it when he notices a tooth has gone missing from that punch. This sight fires him up even worse than a fat Fortnite kid losing a match, and he launches a wild, hopeless attempt to take out our boy. As always, Min shows zero mercy and starts pounding that watermelon-sized head with so many punches that Taegyu looks like he might fall over any second. His pathetic lackeys watch from a distance, too scared to even breathe properly as they practically wet their pants. Meanwhile, the budget bully gets furious and convinces himself that one's brother only keeps winning because he keeps hitting first, thinking that if he could land just one greasy punch, the guy built like a toothpick would go flying across the room. With that, he tries his best one-punch-man move and throws everything he has into dropping our hero with one strike. But Min calmly uses his own momentum against him and sends the human football flying straight into the goal. As the big guy crawls across the ground like an oversized caterpillar, our big brother stands over him and casually asks how it feels to finally experience the kind of pain he always loved dishing out, while flashes of regret from watching one get beaten and broken in every past life cross his mind. But Taegyu suddenly switches up his act and starts begging for mercy, shaking on the ground just like the same kids he had bullied before. Still, Min calmly steps closer and reaches out to grab his hand while the big guy shuts his eyes and braces himself for the worst. After a few sweet moments of suspense, our hero flashes a wide grin and tells him straight up that the biggest mistake he ever made wasn't even being born, it was daring to bully one. Right after that, Taegyu needs a second to process the loud snap echoing in his ears, only to realize it's the sound of his own hand being twisted into something that looks like broccoli. Min doesn't even slow down as he grabs the other hand too, and the sharp noise of bone cracking grows so brutal that even the gang of goons runs away, terrified of the madness. Being the timid soul he is, one quickly looks away while his brother keeps going, making absolutely sure that the so-called bully understands exactly what will happen if he ever thinks about messing around again. However, he flashes a wide grin at the begging bully for even thinking he might be gullible, and makes it clear that he would never trust scum like him, so he ensures that Taegyu will never again lay his filthy hands on another innocent kid by doing a few things that would definitely never be allowed on YouTube. Later, one asks his brother how he is suddenly pulling off such insane moves and wonders if he has been secretly training for years without telling anyone. Min then explains that it's already been in the news that a few people have been selected as players who can use abilities from the other world, even while living on Earth. He casually shows one of his daggers, instantly making his brother fanboy over it like it's a legendary Counter-Strike knife skin. Min also shares that the crazy moves he pulled off during the fight are thanks to his boosted speed stat, which easily puts him above even world-class athletes. Though he quickly stops talking as Juan starts getting too curious and throwing out more questions. Min simply shrugs it off, remembering how the last time he shared too much, it ended with Juan getting kidnapped by another player, and even though he made it out unharmed, our big brother has no intention of letting him go through anything else painful ever again. Suddenly he turns his head when an earth-shattering rumble comes from Juan's stomach, and Min quickly offers to take him to the convenience store for a special breakfast to celebrate what had been a pretty fine and non-violent day. Inside the store, Juan asks what might be the most genuinely depressing question ever as he looks around and sadly wonders where his brother is even going when the cup of ramen is already right in front. Our big brother tells him to hang on for a bit as he goes to withdraw most of his life savings in one shot, reassuring Juan not to worry about it. He then casually tells his little brother that he can pick out anything he wants from the expensive food aisle. Juan hesitates for a second, thinking they might run out of money before New Year's, but he folds right away and grabs a box of chicken nuggies without a second thought. His whole face lights up as he says he's always wanted to try them, and seeing that precious smile makes Min so happy that he promises to take him to a restaurant next time so he can finally try beef. Watching Juan gushing over $5 budget nuggets makes Min think to himself, Juan has to hang in there just a little longer until he's rolling in big money. After that, Min watches Juan practically explode with happiness like his life's mission has been completed. but then he suddenly remembers something important. Big Brother comes back, slams a pen down on the table, and stuns Won by announcing that he spent almost all his life savings buying lottery tickets. Sweat bullets roll down Won's face as he nervously asks Min exactly how much he blew on them, only for Min to casually reveal he emptied his whole account, sending Won into a full-on panic attack. Min doesn't waste a second and starts scribbling furiously, and Won, looking over, notices something strange happening and asks why he wrote the same number on all 20 tickets. With a cheeky grin stretched across his face, our hero proudly tells him that it's his lucky number. Back in their apartment, Won sits there dreading every second as he watches the lotto announcers slowly reveal the winning numbers. He practically starts chewing on his nails, thinking about the fancy dinner they could have enjoyed instead of blowing all that money, but his worry starts fading fast as the announcers call out the lucky numbers. He stares at the screen, completely stunned as he realizes they match perfectly with the numbers Min had written down, and the announcer even says they are the number one winner. Feeling like he might be stuck in some crazy dream, he gets all teary-eyed and asks his brother to pinch his cheek just to make sure it's real. Our big brother just teases him to stop panicking like a baby and flashes a wide grin while telling him it's all real and that they are now rich beyond belief. Min casually tells Won to calm down a bit and stop going crazy, or else they'll disturb the neighbors, while silently laughing to himself as he remembers how he once screamed like a little girl the first time he lucky guessed the winning numbers. But now, with everything happening and the economy getting wrecked by players, making a fortune feels like a total piece of cake. After that, our protagonist strolls into the bank without a care and casually tells the clerk that he is the top winner and wants to claim his prize. The clerk congratulates him while quietly thinking that the first place winner looks suspiciously young, almost like a regular student. He asks Min where he bought his tickets from, and the moment he hears the branch number, the guy starts panicking because he remembers a man once mentioning that over 100 winning tickets came from a single store. The clerk instantly realizes this could only mean that one person bought them all, and he also remembers the man telling him to call the director immediately if the top winner ever shows up. So he politely tells Min to wait for a moment, and before long, the director himself shows up. The old man introduces himself with a smile that looks a little too eager, almost like he's ready to pick Min's pockets, but he still congratulates him and personally escorts him upstairs to his office. Inside the office, his secretary immediately bows deeply to the two of them, clearly thinking the director has brought his own son along. However, the director quickly corrects her, saying that Min is actually a very special guest, and she should be extra nice to him today. The woman instantly catches on that this must be the living legend who scored 100 winning tickets and tries her best not to completely lose it. As she shakily tries to suck up to him, Min just waves her off and tells her to stop wasting time and bring him his dough. He casually hands over the stack of tickets, and her brain practically short-circuits when she notices the exact same number printed on every single one. After she finishes checking and confirms that all of them are authentic, Min gets straight to the point and asks her for the total amount. It turns out that after losing about a third of his winnings to taxes, he still pockets a massive 15 billion won, so he decides to buy himself a small studio apartment and starts doing some trading in his spare time, especially since he knows for a fact that Bitcoin is about to shoot straight to the moon. Later back at their apartment, Min surprises his little brother with a place that looks like something straight out of his dreams, but the little bro immediately asks why he doesn't just go ahead and buy it outright instead of renting, especially now that he's practically swimming in cash. Min proudly reveals that they are actually broke again because he dumped all their winnings straight into crypto, causing Won's brain to pretty much vaporize into dust on the spot. Big Bro casually places a hand on his shoulder and reassures him that he knows exactly what he's doing, telling him to calm down since the old man from his dreams also gave him the lucky numbers for the next 4 rounds of the lotto. Hearing that, Won starts shaking Min like a soda can and screams at him to never forget the numbers. Not that Min could even if he wanted to after experiencing the same boring nonsense a million times over. Putting that aside, Min tells him to hurry up and start packing, because they are moving into the new place immediately. Meanwhile on the other side, we catch a glimpse of a player smashing a concrete wall like he's the Hulk, while the man proudly thinks there is no one smarter than him for putting every single one of his points into strength. Though he is a little different from others, since he possesses the Rune of Power which doubles a player's strength and gives him the kind of confidence where he believes he could probably send both Mike Tyson and Jake Paul home crying. Clenching his monstrous fists tightly, he decides that it is finally time to put those big guns of his to the test once and for all. He shows up at our hero's old place and starts hammering on the door, yelling at the top of his lungs for Min to stop hiding like a scared little wuss. When he gets no response, he wonders if the guy died in a ditch somewhere, and just thinking about the smug, condescending look Min once gave him makes his blood boil even more. He keeps bashing the door like a lunatic, ready to break it down and pummel him, but finally stops when it slowly starts to click that maybe Min simply isn't home. The madman then shouts that if he hears even the slightest footstep from inside, he is going to bust the door down like a full-blown SWAT raid. Right at that moment, an old man appears and asks him what in the world he is doing standing outside someone else's home. But the crazy guy gives zero respect and rudely tells the old geezer to shove off since it's not like he owns the palace or anything. The old man, unimpressed, easily mogs him by saying he actually is the landlord, and then politely asks if he happens to be there to meet a friend. After spending a few seconds forcing his last two brain cells to cooperate, the madman pretends to be Min's old buddy, and asks the landlord if he can open the door because he's worried sick about his dear friend whom he hasn't seen in forever. However, the old man ends up leaving him standing there completely dumbfounded as he explains that the student who used to live there moved out a few days ago without telling anyone where he went, pissing Young Min off beyond belief. Meanwhile, back at the new apartment, Won is completely awed by all the fancy services their luxury place offers, and ends up acting like a total clown who just stumbled out of some backwater village. The moment they step inside their massive new room, he immediately asks his brother how much this giant apartment, clearly too big for just the two of them, actually costs, and Min casually drops that the rent is a measly 22 million won per month. One's soul nearly leaves his body on the spot as he remembers how he lost his mind over a measly 5,000 won box of chicken nuggets. He quickly advises Min not to splurge like a madman and to find somewhere cheaper, but our big brother points out that they seriously need the top-tier security this place offers, especially because players end up falling into a deep sleep on the first of every month, which leaves them completely helpless against anything from natural disasters to hitmen sent by their enemies. Min knows very well from hard-earned experience that all the strength in the other world means nothing when you are comatose in real life. After laying it all out, he asks his brother how he likes the apartment, and One is honestly pretty happy with it, though his smile quickly fades as he ends up apologizing to Min for making him waste time and energy on his sorry self when he already has enough threats to juggle in the other world. Our big brother laughs it off, gives him a hearty slap on the back, and asks the cheeky little bugger if he really thinks he won't come back after the next round. After that, he tells his little bro to relax for once and enjoy the 5-star restaurant right there in their building while he goes off to check his messages. He scoffs at all the angry rants and rage messages sent by Young Min, but he ignores the madman without a second thought because no matter how loud he barks, Min is practically untouchable now as Black Scythe. The next day, Min steps out of his room and finds his little brother all packed up and ready to head out somewhere. One cheerily tells him that he's going to pick up some rice cakes he ordered, which completely throws Min off, because his little brother never did anything like this in even one of the 99 lives he remembers. Curious, he asks what the occasion is, and One explains that he wants to be nice to the neighbors since they just moved in. Thinking it's a pretty good tradition, Min feels proud of the little guy and suggests they go together just to be safe, though Wan tries to convince him to sit back and relax since he deserves it. At the first neighbor's door, they ring the bell, and Wan excitedly tells the sweet old lady on the speaker that he's here to drop off some rice cakes. The old woman warmly appreciates the gesture and wishes the brothers a very nice day. After that, they move on to visit the other flats one by one until they finally arrive at the very last one. On the way, Min tells his brother that everyone living in the building has a private penthouse, so they are either ultra-wealthy business owners or celebrities. One rings the last doorbell, but it seems like the owner is out, so they turn around to leave when both brothers are completely stunned to see a gorgeous woman in a golden dress walking right toward them, none other than the famous actress Erin Seo. One finds himself completely enchanted by her radiant beauty, while Min stays completely unfazed, like the Sigma he is. As they attempt to hand her the cakes, her bodyguard suddenly steps in and starts interrogating the brothers to figure out if they happen to be stalkers. Min shuts down his obnoxious attitude with a cold glare and coolly explains that he is no simp from the streets, saying he just moved in recently and came over to drop off a housewarming gift. Hearing this, the bodyguard finally relaxes and promptly shoots their offer down since pretty ladies like Erin are not allowed to mess up their figure with sweets. After swinging the door open to their apartment, he politely asks the lady to head right in, although she glances back at the brothers as if apologizing for her bodyguard's terrible manners. Min remains unimpressed and tells One that he is not a fan of their overall attitude and suggests he should just ignore them from this point on. But Wan ends up becoming the simp of the year and starts fangirling so hard that Min gets completely confused about what has him so worked up. The tall toothpick grabs his big brother and starts shaking him like crazy, absolutely flabbergasted that he does not even know what a legend the celebrity Erin Seo really is. Meanwhile, Seo keeps reading headline after headline that says over half of the celebrities targeted in the other world have either been offed or unalived themselves, which makes her worry deeply about what in the world might end up happening to her. Right then, she receives a message from a friend who tells her that one of their seniors passed away just a while ago and asks if she is going to come to the funeral the next day. With that, she tunes out of her phone for a second and starts thinking that without her rune, she would have no doubt been just another casualty in the news. The lady then feels bad for ever being arrogant enough to think she was special enough to even get mentioned on a headline, since she is just an up-and-coming one-hit wonder whose success and even her studio apartment are all sponsored by her company. Seeing her all stressed out, her bodyguard Seong-chul gently asks her what is weighing on her mind. And when she says it is nothing big, the man tells her to freely talk to him about anything at all, no matter what it is. Arin finally admits that she is worried sick about how she is supposed to survive the next round in a world where celebrities are dropping like Tesla stock. So he calmly tells her to relax her melons because he will stay by her side every single step of the way. Seong-chul gently points out that she has been overthinking way too much lately and tells her to trust him a little more. So she ends up giving him a precious smile as she remembers how suspicious she had been of him when the company first assigned him as her caretaker. But he had won her trust almost instantly, since he pretty much saved her from getting eliminated right in the very first round. Seong-chul reassures her that he will always be there for her, which lights her up on the inside. So she jokes that the rice cakes their neighbors brought were looking mighty scrumptious, but he tells her she is already getting flabby and really cannot afford to put on more weight. Even so, she says it was not very nice to turn them down so rudely, since it is rare these days to see people still following old traditions. But Seong-chul shrugs and tells her that pleasantries are pointless because everyone nowadays is just nice to get a favor back like parasites. That does not really convince Arin though, since she keeps remembering how cute and innocent they had looked. She even comments that one of them definitely looked older than 15 and wonders aloud if they might be a player too, thinking it is honestly amazing how kids these days can massacre 100 goblins and then just move on with their lives like nothing ever happened. Seong-chul laughs at her and says that anybody should be able to take out 100 goblins, but Arin insists that no average person could ever be that talented at fighting unless they were a bodyguard like him, and even then, he had still been no match at all for the eerily scary player called Black Scythe. Seeing him go on a murder spree makes her feel genuinely bad for the goblins, and she thinks it is not even far-fetched to believe he might actually be a real-life hitman. With players like him basically guaranteed to survive the next round, Arin cannot help but worry if a weak little girl like her will even manage to make it out of the second one alive.